show we're going to talk about choosing a guitar if you don't have a guitar, and a few finger exercises, and we're going to make some sounds on the guitar today. So, first off, there's lots of guitars out there. There's many different types and shapes and forms, right? The standard kind of definition, we go from electric and acoustic, but even between those, there are many different types. I would advise you to start on acoustic, even if you want to play the electric guitar, but you know, budgets being what they will, and maybe you only want to have one guitar, or maybe you already have one guitar. So, and that's what you have. So it doesn't really matter. Whatever gets you playing is what's important. So, but if you are planning to buy a guitar, there are a few tips that I want to impart to you, and because you know, if you're a beginner and you don't know how to play the guitar, it can be pretty hard or intimidating to walk into a store and go, well, how do I choose out of 200 guitars in this store? So a couple of things that I'm going to impart to you from my experience will hopefully help guide you down this path or this journey that we're all taking together. So stick around and we'll be right back. So this was my first guitar. Got it when I was 15 years old. It was $100 at a pawn shop. It's worth about $500 or $600 now. It plays beautifully. So that's an option. You don't even have to spend any money to get started in playing guitar. For the first year, I borrowed the guitar from high school. It was a classical guitar. Of course, you know, I wanted to be a rock star, but it was a guitar, and I was able to play it and learn on it. So whatever it is, if it gets you playing, you know, but if you have money and you can choose, obviously that might give you a little bit more inspiration, because, you know, you have this nice shiny thing in front of you that inspires you to play. You know, it doesn't matter what style or what type or what kind of music that you're into or anything like that. You know, if it gets you playing and gets you into it, you know, you can build on that and you can grow. Let's talk about a couple of tips though of what to look for on a guitar. So one of the most important things about a guitar is it wants to be flat and straight, okay? The best way to check that is to put your eye down the neck like this, and you'll be able to see if it's nice and straight, if it's got any kind of twist or anything into it. And also on the top of the guitar as well. So for a couple of reasons, if your neck is bowed this way, okay, you're going to get a lot of buzzing sound off the strings. These strings have been detuned, but this will give you an idea. It's going to be really buzzy. If the neck is bowed out like this, right, so it's got like a cup shape to it, it's going to mean the strings are too far away from the neck, and when you push them down, it's going to change the sound of how it should be, right? Remember, this is an engineered, you know, instrument, right? It's supposed to sound a certain way. So when they're sitting up here on the top nut, right, and we make an open chord, as I'll show you in a minute, that's, you know, the natural sound of the guitar. But as we move down and we press in the individual frets, we've now moved where that top nut, the string is now actually sitting on that metal bar, the fret, and that's where it's making its sound. So if it's too far away and you've got too much action, is what the word is called in guitar lingo. It's the action of the guitar, how high it is off the neck. You're going to have terrible sound out of it, and it's going to be very difficult to play. So that's rule number one probably of choosing a guitar, that it wants to be flat and straight, okay? They can't be adjusted, right? But if it's brand new, it shouldn't need any adjustment, right? But if you're looking at an older guitar, and you see that, and if you really like it and it's a good price, you know, you might want to consider, okay, well, maybe if we can adjust the neck and fix that, so it's not the end of the world. So I'm going to show you a couple close-ups. I'm going to have to reset the camera, but I'm going to show you a couple close-ups because I think this guitar here is in need of an adjustment, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to do it though, okay? So just 1 second, let me reset. Okay, so we're going to have to try this out because I'm not too sure how it's going to focus on this. But what we're trying to see is nice, flat, straight neck. Okay? So this guy's got a little bit of a bow to the neck. Let's see if we can't get it so the light kind of hits it right there. can't see it, but it's kind of going like this, and so the action is really high, especially down here, closer to the body of the guitar. Fix that up. So it's not good. Now, the reason I'm not going to adjust this, right, is because I don't like doing this myself, right? Even though I've got a lot of experience, I have my guitar guy do it, right? But I'm going to leave this because the humidity is going like kind of crazy lately. You know, it's springtime. We're going from really dry and humid kind of conditions back and forth. I'm looking at the needle right now, and I know it's going to go up quite a bit, and this guitar will soften out as it absorbs more moisture to it, right? So, and if it doesn't, then I will make an adjustment to the neck, right? So right now I'm not too happy about playing this thing because it doesn't quite sound as good as I know it can. So you want to inspect your guitar really, really well. You know, look for any kind of damage, any kind of cracks on it or anything like that. Obviously, if it's a used guitar, you know, you might have to be a little compromising. Some people, you know, don't look after instruments, and some people do, you know. So if you're getting a guitar, please get a case. You know, if you're a beginner, you might be traveling around a lot with this thing. You're going back and forth to classes or school or lessons or something like that. This is an old style kind of hard shell case. It's cardboardish in nature and, you know, all beat up and stuff, but it's better than nothing. This is kind of a traditional, you know, gig bag. It's about $15 to $20. You know, it's super, super cheap. This one's for an electric. It again is some type of protection. That's a better gig bag. This is what came with my Taylor. It's got some more padding to it. It's a little bit more substantial. This was free with the guitar, but you know, I do have a hard shell case for it as well, right? And this beautiful case, you know, it's got this kind of faux dragon skin or something they called it on there, and of course, you know, I have my one of my babies in there, you know, this case is made for this guitar because it has a very unusual headstock and that to it, right? But there's many rectangular cases that will fit most shapes of guitars, like most Les Pauls or most Stratocasters or several other kind of more conventional shaped guitars out there. This case actually was not that much money, even though it was a custom case. It was only about $120 on top. Now the guitar was $1,000 or more, so you know, it was money well spent, I think. So that's my advice: get a case with your guitar. There's really like, you know, 100 buying tips to give you, and we don't have time to get into all that today. One of the best things you can do is to talk to a friend, ask a friend to go to the music store with you to help you choose a guitar, right? Do some more homework online, do some research about, you know, what is maybe best for you, you know, and you might go down a path and say, well, you know, he's talking too much about acoustics and I want to hear about electrics, right? You know, you have a little bit more information like that, right? So, we're going to show you now how to make some clear sounds on the guitar, and then finish off the show with a few finger exercises and a few things that you can do to help your muscle memory and dexterity even when you don't have the guitar around, okay? So we're making this sound from the guitar. Obviously, I'm going to use a pick, right? But you don't have to use a pick. You can just use your fingers. I'm going to use a pick today to strike the strings. Ideally, you want to be over the sound hole. You'll get the best sound like that, but you can be, you know, anywhere along here, right? So that would be a downstroke. This would be an upstroke. You want to learn both, okay? Don't limit yourself to always hitting down. You want to learn both. You're going to get the most efficiency out of your wrist and your playing if you're doing both. So you're going to... It's easy to get like fast picking like that, and if you tried to go down, you'd be like... See? Right? So you want to learn both up and down strokes, right? And you can practice that as you're working on this hand. You know, you can be working on this hand too. Okay, so making some clear sounds. You want to press down on the middle of the frets. As you get further down and the frets are tighter together, it's really not an option. You know, you have to be in the middle. But if you get a little too close, when you're up on the top of the neck here, if you get a little too close to the fret, you're going to get like a buzzing sound. It's not be clear. So you want to be in the middle of it. Okay, so if I hit it really hard, I'll get a buzzing sound. If I hit it kind of more normally, get a nice clear sound. So whatever instrument that you have, that's your goal, is to try and get nice clear sounds out of them. So pushing in the middle of the frets. You want to be using all 4 fingers. The very first exercise that I teach every student is this scale, and it's to utilize, it's just to use your whole hand and the whole guitar. So here it goes. So I hit every note, up and down picking, back and forth, try and get clear sounds out of the whole neck and all your fingers. Okay, that's your goal. That's what you want to work on, right? When you start to learn songs, you won't be inhibited by saying, oh, well, you know, I can play this song, but this guy uses his pinky and I can't stretch that far. So again, back to hand position, if your wrist is up more horizontal, flat with the neck there, right? You see, I can't stretch, it really hurts to stretch my hand like that. But as soon as I drop, the further I drop my wrist down to becoming more perpendicular with the neck, now look how far I can stretch my hand. I can go like 7, 8 frets, right? So remember to use your whole hand, exercise your whole hand. So what's next? Hold on, let's see. So now we've kind of learned how to make some sounds and basic sounds on the guitar, right? And how to hold it properly and how to pick properly. And now we want to kind of get more familiar with the whole real estate of the guitar and the different positions in the neck. And the reason for that is because if you only learn up here, when you go to play stuff down here, your hand's like, oh, well, it doesn't fit, you know? So you have to become accustomed to playing stuff all over, right? So again, this simple exercise will help give you familiarity in your hand positions with the whole neck of the guitar. And I encourage you to push yourself to, you know, as far as you can go. So here's an example of that. So I'm kind of going like almost as far as I can go, and then you want to go backwards. Now, you can go forwards, you can go backwards. It's ideally you want to do both, okay? So we'll just talk about finger and hand exercises for a second, right? So a lot of people can do this fairly easily with their hands, but if you try to go this way, it's quite a bit more difficult. So that's one of the things that you want to work on as a guitarist, because you need to be able to control that, right? You need to be able to go that way. So you can do this as you're driving down your car, sitting at your desk, you know, waiting in line. You know, lots of places you can be kind of working on that, right? So I'll show you another little exercise that I always teach people and encourage them to do, and that's to twirl a pencil or pen or some type of object. You can use actually lots of different kinds of objects. Some work better than others. Sometimes some people like heavier things or lighter things or something with more grip on it, right? But the same thing is you want to kind of work on controlling your fingers in your hands. The more you learn this, the better of a guitarist you will be, because you're building the connection between your brain and your hand, right? We all know how to write and we can do things with our hands. You already have that connection, but you need to build a musical connection with that hand, right? And some of these things can give you little breaks, and still, when your hands get sore and your fingertips are sore from playing, right? But you still feel like you want to learn more and push yourself harder. These are some little tips that you can do, you know, that will, if you do this for a couple of minutes, the pain in your fingertips will go away, and then you can go back to trying to make your your chords and your other notes or what you're playing. I mean, my fingertips hurt me too. I'm a little bit out of shape as far as the calluses go because I'm just starting to get back into playing a little bit, right? So to push down on that chord for, you know, a half an hour straight trying to make a little song out of it or something like that, you know, I know it hurts, it's painful, right? Can you see in my fingertips there that it pushes right into the skin and stuff there, but that will get better over time and you'll be able to play longer and so forth. So again, when you get sore and tired, try some other alternatives, right? So one of the great alternatives from chord pain and fingertips, because a lot of people learn chords as their basic, you know, skills of playing the guitar, switch to doing some scales, okay? Learn a couple scales, right? But you don't really have, there's nothing to remember with my scale, with this pentatonic scale, that it's just every note and every fret, right? But now you're using a little bit different portion of your finger when you're doing that, right? I'm hitting down here, and more of the pad of my finger than here up on the tip, where I'm trying to get more sharp notes, right? So again, the pain is a lot less for your hand. So that's what I do when I start, my hand starts to, my fingertips get sore from pushing down chords, I'll switch for a minute to, and then it kind of, you know, pushes the blood back to my pads of my fingertips and the pain goes away, and then I can go back to playing chords again, right? So that's I think a good place to wrap up the show today. Thank you for watching. I know these things go a little bit long, but there's so much information that I want to impart to you, and you know, I hope you learned something out of it today, and it will help you on your journey to learning to play the guitar. Guitar 103 will be about a week away, and I encourage you to play as much as you can during that time, and please let me know in the comments what you want to see more of or less of in this program. Thanks again. Have a great day. Almost forgot. Us guitarists have a saying, and it's if it gets you playing, doesn't matter what it is. If it's a guitar, if it's a piano, if it's a horn, if it's a bass, if it's you know, some kind of musical app on your phone. If it gets you playing, it's a good thing. Thanks again.